original. You were anything but conventional. Baby, did you know that from the moment we fell in and knew we couldn't fall back, knew I'd always crawl back. Cause baby, it's the everything for me, for me, for me. Baby, it's the everything for me.
Hello guys, welcome back to my podcast. My name is Micah Edwards as usual, and as I was saying, I'd like to just give a moment of silence to Liam from One Direction, because I feel like his death is very impactful, especially because he's not only because he's from One Direction, but he was like a part of like history musically. So with that being said, we will have a moment of silence for Liam. I hope his family is doing. I send my condolences to his family because that is very important. But to get today's podcast started, I will say today we have talked about so many things, guys. We talked about black people hairstyles. We talked about relationships. We talked about places to travel outside of America. And now, what are we here to talk about today? Oh my God. My favorite, well, not my favorite all-time book, but like this book really caught my eye. A book called Lord Olympus. It's a webtoon series. Now, I will say, like, now I'm just finding out that you were able to purchase the book. So, like, when I was in my hometown, I brought book volume 6. And then I brought this one in North Carolina. Oh, my God. What can I say? But like, this book really took me through all my trials and tribulations. It took you through like all types of emotions, and then along with that, all the people are colorful. I can't say it even better. I love colors, like the screen. I love things being colorful. So with that being said, we will get started on the podcast. So we will be talking about, like, how do I say it? We'll talk about these characters. We'll talk about their transitions from the beginning to the end of the story. And then we'll also talk about who they represent and how they represented in the story. So first, we will be talking about Artemis. Artemis. What can I say about my girl? She's a very vibrant person. She's always like, she kind of reminds me of myself, because I'm like that one person that's like, oh, I need a strategy, I need to have a set plan, and like I can't go willy-nilly off the handle or anything like that, because something could happen. But with that being said, her name Artemis is, in Greek religion, the goddess of wild animals, the hunt, and vegetation, and of chastity and childbirth. She's also, like, I want to say this, she's the protector of women, even though in all technicality she hasn't protected women throughout the book. So I will say, in the story, I'm just going to jump right into it and say, like, her friend Persephone moved in. She's never been in a city before, and she invited her twin brother over, and guess what he does? He rapes her in this long series. The series has like what, three seasons and like, I want to say 200 like sections. Around 200 sections, 200 or 300, but it's like really long. But basically, she didn't know any of this transpired, even though it was under her roof. And she's always like the parent of like the friend group, like, oh, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do this. And then she didn't realize the signs till like, oh, we all the way like 100 and 160, and she's like, oh wait, Persephone, this happened to you? How come you didn't tell me? And then she had to reorganize herself, like, how could this happen to her? Such a bad friend. But basically, she is the child of course, Zeus, and her mother's name is Leto. Leto is, I want to say, like, our main antagonist of, well, not main, but like helping of the antagonist of the story, because technically Apollo's the antagonist of the story, but we'll get to that later on. But basically, we like, I don't think that she should have bared all that weight of the world. She felt like she was bearing the weight of the world, and she did not know how to like comfort her friend. She didn't know how to like help her brother, because he really needed some help, because he was going through a booty hole stage of his life. So yeah, that was never pleasant or okay. But towards the end, we see Artemis grow. She made more friends, and she was part of like this women's group where like, oh, they're the women of womanhood type of group, and they can't like, oh, they cannot have sex, and they are not going to get married whatsoever. They're just gonna stay by themselves. Just stick to that. But Artemis wasn't a bad character, guys. Come on now. Like, she was like one of those chill / half mom types of people. But still, she helped Persephone like navigate her way through all the trials and tribulations, and they're still friends till today. So, with that being said, we will move on to the next person, and that is, of course, Aphrodite. Aphrodite. Who is Aphrodite? I will say she is very, how do you say it? She's very, like, conceited, and she does care about herself, and she doesn't like when other girls are, like, compared, like, now I won't say compared to her, but, like, oh, in the beginning of the series, which is how Persephone and Hades kind of met, and it was meant to be staged as, oh, this small town girl had sex with this $1 million guy that owns his own company and is basically the ruler of the underworld. Yeah, she was like, oh, Hades was like, oh, Persephone puts Aphrodite to shame. She was like, oh, really now? Me to shame. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna get my look back in a minute. Aphrodite is the goddess of sexual love and beauty. So, with that being said, I don't think Aphrodite was like the best example of like how you should be, but because let's be honest, she slept with Zeus. Also, who hasn't slept with Zeus to begin with? Who really hasn't? But like, to bring it back, I'll say like Aphrodite is like one of those like hot popular people that like, oh, you really, really, really don't want to mess with, or like, oh, you don't want to get on her bad side because, ooh, she might turn on you like a fish, and that's never any good. But I will say she was an excellent mother. She always raised her kids, and she always, in any sort of physical type of way, tried to protect her kids. So, with that being said, let's get into Aphrodite's love life. She was so I've seen like how do I say this? Multiple different types of like ways to present Greek mythology. I saw like a cartoon version of it that was like really overly childish. I did not like it. And then we have what's it called? Well, all of us have seen Hercules, so that's another example. And then who else? It's this when I was in like 4th grade, my friend Maya Levinson introduced me to this amazing Greek mythology book. Oh my God, it really hit on the nail on the hammer for me because especially like, I'll say this too, whenever it comes to graphic novels, you don't have to be like the best artist. You don't have to have the best drawings. Everything doesn't have to be like straight, narrow. Everything has to be like that. But it depends on how you draw. If you draw portraits, then, you know, that's you. But if you draw like, if you just, you don't draw as beautiful as this cover, it's okay. Everyone has like their different art styles and everyone is different in different ways. So don't count yourself out. And wait, I got off topic. Gosh. Basically, she was in this novel, she is betrothed to Ares, one of Zeus's sons, obviously, right? And so the marriage does not really go well. So in the beginning, it's like, oh, Ares is gone for a certain amount of time. Then he comes back, and towards like the middle, the rising tension within the story, he says, oh, I don't want to I want to be like married to you anymore. I don't want to be attached to you, even though I have like 12 kids by you, 12 kids with you, Aphrodite. So you think we could, you know, work something out so I can marry Persephone? Because I know she wants me, even though in all little terms, Persephone did not want Ares. He did not want Ares. So that went to that, and so she had a difficult time like being without him, and so it got to the point where like she was like, okay, I'm done with you. And then she moved on to his brother. Ooh, and his brother is like, how do you say this? Highly... Okay, so they didn't put him on, like, the main character list. What in the world? Okay, I'm gonna just look this up real quickly, y'all. Don't mind me. But I will say that, wait, let me pause myself. I cannot pronounce his name, but his name is Hephaestus, god of forge, god of crafts, and god of meltworking. And I will say he is very attractive looking in this novel. The other novels, they did him dirty. But basically, he ends up meeting Aphrodite, is like captured by her beauty, like before a royal court hearing where Persephone committed acts of wrath. And so they met each other. She was like, okay, well, I'll see you another time. And then how do I say this? They met, and he was love struck, guys. I can't really say much about that. And then the next time he sees her, she's like, I need help. I don't know how. I can't pronounce her name. Well, it's like Psyche's undercover name. Psyche and Eros were supposed to like get people with more arrows quicker. So she's like, so he creates like a type of weapon for her so that she can do it quicker. And he's like, oh, I'll show you how to work it. Or well, no, he was like, oh, I got an instruction manual, here it is, you can just read it and then I'll just go. And she's like, no, come back, I want to see you, I want to talk to you more, let's talk. So with that being said, they got married, and so somehow he began raising his nieces and nephews with his basic sister-in-law. Guys, that is something. You have to admit that is something. But like, I mean, it's not odd. Like, at least he found love, and Ares ends up like miserable in the end. So I mean, good for Aphrodite, because she's like, I'm tired of you putting me in these situations, and you don't want to be with me, but I'm basically your baby mama, but you want to take care of me, you want to come home, what do you want, what do you want to do? So I could understand her interest in running to another man about her problems and then falling in love with him, because I guess he just does it better. Not really much to say about that, guys. Next person we will be going to, obviously, Ares, god of war. Not much to really say about this guy, except he is a literal hothead. Like, ooh, I'm not even kidding you. He almost took off his his recently newfound brother Apollo, because Apollo set Hebe up and said, "Oh, you poisoned and tried to kill Zeus," when really it was me. Like, it was so upsetting, guys. So, how do I say this? So it's never like any big thing to, like, how do you say, put back. So I want to say, like, Ares is like the type of guy, he's like, oh, he's very like into himself. He's like one of those macho guys that's like, oh, I'm this, I'm that. Like, he's like the average high school jockey, or like the average high school football player that thinks he's like all that, but really, like, oh, you need to work on yourself before you love anyone else, is what it's giving, for real, honestly. So why he kept trying to pursue Persephone is like a personal, how do you say, defect in himself as a god, because you don't want to take the woman that you've had sexual relations with and have like a bajillion kids by, but you were upset when she tried to leave you, and then as soon as Persephone and Hades get their love life together, you want to crash it and ruin it because you don't know how to construct your feelings. So obviously he need to take a trip to the therapist's office. I'm not even gonna lie to you, like, if it ever gets that bad for someone, like, you just go to the therapist's office. Just go to the therapist's office. It's not that no one wants to deal with your problems, it's just that, dropping by on someone, like, everyone has their own individual lives to live, so you can't really, like, drop by unannounced, be like, oh, I want to stay over your house, oh, I also want to go on a date with your wife. But I will say, like, he has changed, he has grown, he's still, like, towards the end, he's still, like, the macho jerk that he still was, trying to get Persephone to fall for him, but it didn't end up working, guys. She still stayed with Hades. But with that being said, we shall move on to the next person, who is our main antagonist, Apollo, the one and only god of sun. And that's saying something. In his color, like the color person he is, he's purple. That's like a cold color, dark color, and you're supposed to be light. It's just kind of odd, but whatever. Yes, god of sun. His parents are obviously Leto and Zeus. Now, again, Leto's name keeps coming up. Why? And the funny thing is this, guys, she looks exactly like Hera, but with different types of eyes. And Hera was like, you must banish her, especially because you had sex with my husband, and on top of that, you're now my ex-friend, especially because you slept with my husband. Like, what's good with you? And you dangerous. I don't know what to say, guys. I really don't know what to say. But basically, Apollo, he's the jerkiest of all jerks, one of the top 3 main antagonists of this story. He basically wanted Persephone to fall in love with him, and so it got to the point to where he started talking to her aggressively and handling her aggressively, because, like any person, I guess, like, if it's someone you truly do not like, that's really bad, because, like, I don't want to say, like, it's like bad because of that person's response, especially if you don't get along with that person. That's like, oh, I see one of the people I don't mess around with like that, and they came up to me and hugged me, or like they started grabbing my arm aggressively. Like, I would not particularly like, why are you touching me? Why are you trying to be like all friendly like that? And he already had plans to rape her prior, and he already had plans to rape her prior to her, because Persephone's mom's so like all over her. He's like, oh, this is my chance to get her along. And so after he raped her, mind you, she was in, I won't say she wasn't intoxicated, but like she was to the point to where she was like, like I'm really sleepy, like borderline sleep, but it's also like you half awake at the same time, because like you can remember the events, but it's like, how do you say? But like, you were also halfway asleep, so that's bad. And then along with that, he took pictures of her, which Thanatos erased, thankfully, towards the end. But obviously at the end, she made Apollo, she hit Apollo with the love arrow so he could fall in love with her. And then he told every god and goddess and mortal in nymph and Olympus that he raped Persephone. They beat him to a pulp. And then they made him do a extensively long time of servitude for poisoning Zeus, trying to get raping Persephone, who was basically a queen at the time, and passing the blame around, and then trying to take leadership after you did what you did. So ain't nothing too strong to say about that. And the worst part is, along with this, he started obsessing over her. So like this, imagine you're on a date with a guy you're actually interested in, and he said, could you cut your hair short like this other girl, cause she just looks better. What? Exactly. So it gave weird. Daphne, like, he did that to this nymph named Daphne, who's really chill. She was not having it, guys. She was not having it. But thankfully, she got into another relationship. She was cool with all that. But to conclude, Apollo, like, we really don't need Apollo in the atmosphere. Because now, I'm just like, I just want to beat this guy up so badly. Like, oh my god. I don't even care that he's immortal. He shouldn't have done what he did. And then along with that, he wanted to hide the fact, take responsibility, and then he kept trying to antagonize this girl. Like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? But to go on,